Here we go again. All right, this time we should have sound. I made sure of that. So, hi there. Welcome everybody to Cast Iron Wednesday, which is a tradition that a lot of YouTube cooking channels have been doing for the past several years. It's quite simple. On Wednesday, really for the fun of it, a lot of folks like to do a cast iron video, cooking cast iron, cleaning, identifying, collecting cast iron, making your favorite foods in cast iron, which usually seem to be steak or burgers. In my case, I've been doing a live video for the past 3 years now on Cast Iron Wednesday, with a few exceptions. And I'm as surprised as anyone that we've managed to make it this far. But the reason why, of course, has been the folks here, you folks who are kind enough to show up for the Cast Iron Live video every Wednesday. And I can only thank everybody here who's been nice enough to show up, especially regular names that I see here. Hello, George Lewis. I understand you received the pan last night or yesterday, and well, I'm really glad to hear it arrived in good condition. And hello to Cynthia Wesley and RT Scott and Pat Z, Val's Black Cats Rule. Hello, yes, indeed, a fellow New Yorker, Val's Black Cats. I'm sure, Val, you may know, as I found out, that a week from this Saturday, actually all of next week, is the Boughville-Madison Antique Week. And so that would certainly be something to be going on a road trip for. But yes, and hello, Silva 579, 4 Jim 44, R Hughes, William Hurt, and so many others. It's always nice to see all you folks here again. Because you're nice people, and as I said, you make this chat a lot of fun, especially because I encourage the comments, and tonight especially I encourage questions, because this is another one of those monthly so-called Ask Me Anything almost videos, in which case I get to stand here and you get to pepper me with questions, and I do my best to answer them. The questions should, of course, be related to cast iron in most cases, largely because, well, that's really what we're here for, and I very much always appreciate folks who are kind enough to ask and answer questions, because, well, there seems to be no end of topics to discuss here. We've been doing this for 3 years, and we'll likely be doing it for at least another 3 years or more. For instance, even before the chat started, one person was mentioning how they found their first vintage pan, and it turned out to be a spinner. Well, I mean, obviously, as we know, a spinner is when a pan has been overheated and it gets warped, and yes, that does happen. Quite a few vintage pans out there are spinners, and unfortunately, some brands tend to have a lot of those spinners. Wagner, especially the newer Wagners from maybe the 1960s, if you call that newer, up until their ending time in the late 1990s, those were often known to be spinners. And likewise, I have my larger BS&R, Birmingham Stove and Range pans. Just about all of them, unfortunately, are spinners. I've got a number 10 size, 12.5-inch BSR skillet here. That's a spinner. It's not a huge spinner, but it definitely spins. And even my number 14 size pan, good old Stumpy here. This is, in fact, a spinner. When I put him on a flat surface, he definitely spins like a top. And yet, nonetheless, as you know, he is one of the regular stars of this YouTube channel here. I get a lot of use out of old Stumpy because, spinner or not, he is still the world's greatest pizza pan, turkey roasting pan with the holidays coming up. I make giant cookies in old Stumpy regularly, and in fact, I took him on a camping trip a couple of months ago. Wow, it's been almost 2 months already since that day. Yes, and when he was there, I put him over my propane burner and made some nice pancakes and SOS breakfast. So really, the problem with spinners, of course, is namely that they create hot spots. The part where it becomes warped tends to get much hotter than the rest of the pan, and that means you could especially if you're cooking sensitive things, there's the risk that you could burn the stuff that gets it in the warped spot in the center. And that's one reason why people like using pans that are, well, flat and not warped. The heat is distributed somewhat more evenly. So, but they can still be cooked with. And indeed, as I mentioned, as you see, again, I've got a number of spinners in my collection. And if you end up with a spinner, the best I could say is go ahead and use it. You know, at one time, several years ago, a friend of mine, his wife, had the most incredible warped pan I'd ever seen. And when I finally said, I want to buy that pan from you just to show as an oddity, she had already thrown it out, unfortunately. It was a Wagner original 1891, so from the 90s. And the thing was so incredibly warped that the center part looked like a teardrop. It must have extended down half an inch or more. It was incredible, and I wish I had gotten that pan, or at least a picture of it. So, hello, Gunter45. I'm not cooking today. What are the odds the smoke detector goes off anyway? Better than I wished it would. In fact, I was cooking earlier tonight, and I still had to make sure to take down the smoke detector. Because the smoke detectors in my home like me. And I know that's a good thing because, safety and all of that, but it can really be a pain when you're cooking. So, and hello, Louis J. Cast Iron Cooking. I have a friend who is also a collector and seller that never checks the flatness of skillets. And when I asked him about one pan, if it was flat, he mentioned it was the first time he checked. Well, it's a lesson learned for him. That's all I could say. But, as I said, these pans are still, they still have some value. But it was especially because, I sold a few of my extra pieces at the flea market the other day on Sunday, and it turned out just about all of those pans sold too, including the vintage ones that I had there. I did put low prices on them, especially they would sell. For instance, I had a Wagner 1890s Wagner, a solid logo Wagner, that was seriously a spinner, and the guy still bought it for like about $20 or so. So I certainly won't complain about that, or I forget if it was 15. Either way, I even sold, and I still can't believe this. So I sold a cracked Wagner for $5. I mean, that's the reason why I brought it to the flea market. I mean, I had acquired a good old 1930s Wagner. Looked like it was in good condition until after I'd finally seasoned it, when it was unquestionably cracked. I wasn't sure what to do with it, so I put a $5 price tag on it and brought it to the flea market just because. And somebody bought it. I pointed out to him that it was cracked, and he still bought it. So you never know. Yes, and hello as well, Rick Stumbow, and hello, Mercy B. And just say no to crack. Yes, indeed. Yeah, crack is bad. Okay, crack, don't do crack, folks. But just as well, boy, I didn't realize I can do that voice pretty good too. But where was I? Crack pans are never fun. That's true, because you put all that effort into restoring it, and then you find out it's cracked. It really, your heart sinks. Let me see. Hello, Papa Dan as well, and for Morris, and hello, Turner. Seems like my Wagners are more prone to spin compared to my Griswolds. Well, that does seem to be the case. In fact, even my Wagner chicken fryer is a spinner, now that I think of it. And a fair number of my larger pans are spinners, and yet I still get some good use out of it. And the thing is, of course, the thing about the spinners is that the warping always seems to be at the very center, and that's precisely where it sits, at the center of your stovetop burner. And unless you have an electric stove or a flat top or a glass top stove, it actually seems to fit better that way. So that's not necessarily a bad thing. Louis J. again, I had a bad encrusted BSNR number 7 that had a beautiful cooking surface. Once I took it out of the lye tank, I noticed a crack near the handle, and my apologies for that. Are Smithies any good? Smithy Ironworks. God, I've been so long since I've seen a Smithy. Well, I can definitely say, pretty much any piece of cast iron is good. So even modern day Asian pans, they will still cook just fine. But Smithy, if I remember right, that's not a bad brand though. I would have to say go somewhere else for better information because it's just escaping me right now. Nonetheless, good reports from the surgeons. Oh, that's good to hear too. Spinners are not good on the glass top, and that is certainly true. Yes. Um, which again is why we don't like the spinners. And on the other hand, it's things like that that kind of almost make it worth it, really, to make the investment. I shouldn't say almost. It's like, in these brand new modern day skillets, like the Stargazer, for instance, which is definitely flat. And as long as you treat it well, it will remain flat. So, yeah, these expensive pans, I guess, getting into a similar subject like this, the newer expensive modern day pans. I am not griping about the fact that these pans are so expensive. The way I see it is that these newer modern day elite cast iron pans like Smithy or yeah, okay, there you go. That's Smithy. That's what it is. It's not vintage. Smithy is one of the newer ones. I remember it now. And the people who use Smithies are all really love them. Most of the folks there say that the Smithy ones are glass smooth and they do fine. But whether it's a Smithy or a Field or the Finex or the Stargazer or even a Lodge modern day Blacklock, all of which I see these as really, I know it's easy to say it's an investment. In this case, I think you could say it is an investment because, the reason why you want to get one of those expensive pans, it's not just for cooking. It's simple as that. If you want a pan just for cooking, we'll go to Wally World and get a Lodge. Or if we're lucky at a flea market, we'll find an unmarked Wagner or a BSR or something. And it's going to cook just fine. We'll have it in our kitchen every day. I cook every day with my BSR pans. But there's some reason or another that comes up where that really justifies the investment and the cost of getting one of those incredibly expensive cast iron pans. And the reasons for it are different for everyone. The reason why I spent for this Blacklock pan, or the reason why I spent $200 for this cauldron, for instance, are not the same. My reasons would probably not be the same as your reasons. Maybe say you receive one of these, for instance, as a wedding present or a Christmas present or birthday present or something. That's one reason, of course, to make that kind of investment. There might be some kind of a special occasion where you feel it's worth it. That's also how Le Creuset stays in business. I mean, Le Creuset, the price of their pans is like, woof, and yet people get them and use them all the time. And in fact, that's just it. Lodge now has gone in the Le Creuset route, as you know. They built their own enamelware foundry, and they're producing very fancy enamel cast iron pans. I have got to talk to the folks at Lodge. I want to know about the quality of those new USA enamel pans. In that, like for instance, the number of layers of enamel that they're putting there. In physical terms of quality, not just the Lodge brand, but in terms of things like that, the number of layers of enamel, what ingredients go into the enamel, like cadmium or lead or anything like that. I can certainly say that they won't have lead. But things like that, I would like to have a discussion with the folks at Lodge and get some really nitty-gritty details about that. Not just to justify whether it would be worth the cost of getting one of those USA enamel cast iron pans, but also to let people know. How did you do at the flea market over the weekend? Yeah, I did about as good as I could have possibly hoped for. I went there with about 20 pieces. I came back with 4. And those 4, I mean, really, even though I dropped those things down to half price, they just wouldn't sell for some reason. I guess it just wasn't the right environment for it. But everything else sold. The modern day pieces, the Asian pieces, the vintage pieces. Of course, the prices I had on certainly helped as well. So. And yesterday I kind of went on some kind of spending spree or something and just got a whole bunch of things. Actually, not cast iron, but useful things for the home. I restocked on my cat food. I ordered a Christmas present for some people, that kind of thing. So I'm glad I sold them. I'm glad I made that money selling them at the flea market. Oh, that reminds me. I goofed. I saved, no, I restored and cleaned up and seasoned one particular iron to sell at the flea market, put it in the cart, and then forgot all about it. When I got home, it was still in the trunk. I didn't take it out, and I completely forgot about it, and I'm mad only because of what it was. There we go. Namely this. What is it? It is, come on, don't drop it. It's a pair of Wapak, not Wapak, Wapak or Wapak, I'm still not sure how it's pronounced, waffle iron paddles. I managed to acquire these at a flea market probably about 3 years ago. All it is the paddles. It doesn't even have the handles on them or anything, just the paddles. And I've had them sitting around for 2 years because, for 3 years, because I really have not had any opportunity to get the additional parts for it. So I cleaned this thing up and seasoned it. And you know what seasoning a waffle iron is like? And as I said, and then I left it in the car. So now I've got this thing, and I'm still need to figure out what to do with it. Maybe I'll put it on one of the Facebook iron selling groups. I'm not sure. But anyway, here's another look at it, though. It's the Wapak, not Wapak. I've got to get myself out of that habit. It's not Wapak. The Wapak or Wapak Z logo, the Zorro pan, they called it, because it had this fancy Z mark underneath. So, oh well. So the flea market was great, actually, as things were considered. I am not going to do this on a regular basis. I am not a salesman at heart. I don't want to make a living selling things. But just doing this out of the blue like this, that was a lot of fun, and I'm glad. I'm also glad the weather was good. So, okay, did you sell the BSNR? Yes, I did, as a matter of fact. The BSNR went pretty quickly, in fact. Within the first few minutes or so, one guy came right up to my, looked my stuff over, and he took the BSNR chicken fryer and the Wagner square skillet. He got a good deal, and he got them at sticker price, which was nice. So yeah, he definitely got a good deal with that. A little while later, one person, in fact, he's on my YouTube channel, and he posted a comment that he was there. He said hi. I'd never met him before. But he was there, and he got the other BSNR. In fact, that guy then was saying about how hard it is to find cast iron these days. And I said, this place here is pretty good. And so he went away, and then he came back a little later. It seemed at that very same flea market, the one I was at, he had managed to find for $35 a slant logo Griswold. So he got himself an awesome score in addition to the BSNR he got from me. And congratulations to him for that. I had my cataract surgery. Well, again, congratulations, Papa Dan. Hey, y'all, do I need a second BSNR number 12 skillet for $70? $70 for a BSNR number 12 sounds like a pretty good price these days. So I'm presuming the seller must know what it is. Because it's entirely possible you might be able to find it cheaper elsewhere. If you already have a BSNR 12, well, you've got to ask yourself, and I can't answer for you, do you need another number 12 skillet? How much use do you get out of your number 12 skillet right now? A few years ago, I had a BSNR number 12, and then I ended up selling it, and I don't regret it, because I didn't use it. I had no use for a number 12, as it turned out. I mean, I've got number 14 Stumpy, and I've got a number 10, both of which I use. But even now, I really can't think of any use for me, anyway, for a BSNR number 12 skillet. But it's different for everyone. Some folks use grill pans religiously. I've barely used them. Things like that, for instance. So I blanked on spot. Vision may command. Your vision will be changing too. Okay. Like the Star Wars pans over your shoulder. Yeah, I know. I mean, really, that's about the best thing to have them for are the collector's items. I've gotten them each year that they come out. Last year was year number 3, and now there are 4 kinds of them. Darth Vader has been out every year so far. And last year, in fact, there were 3 of them. Darth Vader, the Baby Yoda, what's his name? Grogu, I think. And Boba Fett was last year for the first time. Will they do a new one this year? Well, I'm not sure. Are the Star Wars TV series still popular, or are they getting kind of like, are their ratings dropping? If they're still popular, we'll probably see another new Star Wars cast iron pan. On the other hand, I'm sure we'll be seeing these Star Wars cast iron pans because they're still selling. It's Star Wars. What do you expect? So I tell myself, yes, you need another skillet, no question. I'll probably make another set for kids. Well, there you go. I have one grill pan. The hubby uses it. I find it that much of a pain to wash. And I'm not disagreeing with you on that, but it can be done. I bought an oblige enamel Dutch oven on Prime Day. Good sale, and it's a beautiful blue. Well, congratulations to you, Celine, 77 star 99. You will get a lot of use out of that. I mean, having at least one enameled pot in your collection will, as I said, you can make a lot of great things in an enamel cast iron pot. Dishes with lots of vinegar and tomatoes, for instance. You can make pasta sauce, and you can make, well, I've got this dish called Ma's vinegar chicken that came down from my great-grandmother. And that is, in fact, chicken stewed in big amounts of vinegar and big amounts of tomatoes, both of which are a no-no for a bare cast iron pan. So, yeah, definitely I use my enamel pan to make that dish. Almost forget to mention, oh no. Louis J, you don't have to. I mean, really, I'm being completely serious here. It's not necessary. Beyond that, though, as I said, I'm glad that as well that George got the pan last week. I mean, yeah, I was excited that my channel hit 50,000 subscribers, and also that particular pan, as I mentioned, I have one as well. I got 2 of them, and one I intend to keep and use because this is a beautiful design. This Walking Liberty skillet here. It's actually based on the Walking Liberty half dollar. If anybody who collects coins, then you do know about this particular design. And for me, this was always my mom's favorite vintage coin. My story, and very briefly, is that when I was really young, like we're talking like about 10 years old in the late 1970s, my parents got into coin collecting in a big way, which means we all got into coin collecting, of course. And so for a few years, I had a coin collection. Since I was only 10 years old, it was basically whatever my parents got me, or any pennies and change I could find. But yeah, it was then that Mom mentioned repeatedly that this was her favorite coin. And so that was something I never forgot. And so when this came out last year, I had to get it, not just because of the beautiful design, but also because it does have some personal meaning to me. I got 2 of them just in case. I just felt that I'd have a reason to give away to use or sell or give away the second one. And that's what it turned out to be. I decided to give it away last week, and I'm very glad that it was given away. Walking Liberty pans on eBay, $150. Yeah, I wouldn't be the least bit surprised. That's partly because that is such a wonderful design, isn't it? I mean, really, it's like as far as as far as all of these newer designer cast iron pans, especially from Lodge Go, I'd have to say that Walking Liberty is, if not the most beautiful, it's got to be somewhere in the top 3. I mean, I've got things like, for instance, the Presidential or Great Seal of the United States pan, which is also very nice, and I'm glad to have it. And likewise, as you know, I think Lodge is still selling this as well. This was originally for Cracker Barrel, and then Large started selling it, and that is the Buffalo nickel skillet. And yet, I really don't think this would sell for $150. I mean, this is a really nice design, but I don't know. It just doesn't seem to have that, I don't know, what would you call it? Beauty, maybe? That the Walking Liberty one has. So, yeah, I'm glad to use this, and I use it whenever I have a reason to. But I am very glad to own the Walking Liberty pan. And congratulations to everybody who has one. Silver dimes, wheat pennies, and $2 bills. My grandma was a cashier and swapped those out for the grandkids. I believe it. That's why we call it cast ironitis. Oh, hello, Mudbrooker. Nice to see you here too. I saw that myself. I was like, am I seeing things that he's giving me Halloween sightings? I missed that. Why are we talking about Halloween? Although, admittedly, I did talk about Halloween because, just yesterday, Lodge has released another one of their Dia de Muertos skillets, or pans, I should say. The Day of the Dead, which is actually the day after Halloween. It's November 1st and 2nd. And now they've released a griddle, or I should say a comal, for the Dia de Muertos, and that is the one with the Xolo dog image on it, which is nice. Those are really nice designs, aren't they? And I actually like the whole idea of the Dia de Muertos holiday too, and I'm more than happy to help promote that for that reason. Not really to sell things for Lodge, but I like the whole Dia de Muertos thing. Anyway, Wally World has Halloween stuff out. Oh, I'm not surprised either. The Halloween candy has been out already for almost a month. Why do they have Halloween candy out so early? So that it sells. That's the only reason. It's not like we're gonna buy candy in July and August and keep it until October. It's gonna be gone. We're gonna eat it. So they're really just putting it out to sell it more than anything else. Well, so be it. Especially since trick-or-treating seems to be going down the tubes. In so many places, there's no more trick-or-treating. People just take their kids to the mall. But that's another subject. I'll talk about that later, like say around Halloween or so. Okay. So does Dollar Tree. Yeah, that's not too surprising. So yeah, now that the 4th of July is over, we're getting into the back-to-school stuff. And so naturally, they're bringing out their fall stuff, which is why we're seeing Halloween in the stores. Any merchant who puts out Christmas stuff before Halloween should be taken out of his front of the store and flogged severely with a string of Christmas lights. Yeah, I can agree with that sentiment very much, Mike Brooker. I am really, the whole early Christmas thing, yes. Unfortunately, that's kind of a losing battle, I think. Okay. All right, let's head back. Oh, explain the Christmas trees. How about this? Let's get the subject back to cast iron. And how will we do that? Look at this. As a matter of fact, I found this for like $2. I think I either found it at Savers or a flea market or something. And I had this stupid thing in my lye tank for going on to 2 to 3 years here. It's like I kept saying I got to take it out and clean it up. And finally, last week, when I did clean out my lye tank for the flea market, I finally said, okay, I'm going to clean this up and sell it. And then I decided, I don't want to sell this. I actually am going to keep this. And when the holidays come around, I'm going to use this as a cookie sheet or something and make a couple of cookies in this. So, yeah, between this and a couple of other nice shaped skillets, these will make nice little cakes and cookies and stuff. Here's another one. And this one I know you have not seen at Wally World. Check this out. I found this at TJ Maxx or Marshall's, whichever one it is. I found it 1 year, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I think going on 4 years ago. 4 days before Christmas at Marshall's for like $5. So, I saw that $5 and think, okay, no, I can't pass that up. I've been looking for another one. I would like to have at least 2 of these. but I haven't found any more yet. So yeah, so the best I could say is it's just like at a flea market. If you see these things and you have the opportunity, you probably shouldn't pass it up. You may never see it again. But anyway, little things like this will be nice for holiday baking. So I'm definitely looking forward to it, even though they're both definitely made in China. I have a pan that I love. It was my great grandma. She always called it a Dutch oven. Any way to tell the manufacturer if it's not marked? Well, Mike Harvey. Yes, definitely. I mean, there are a few pans out there that are unknown. We've not been able to identify. However, there are a lot of markings on a lot of those unmarked pans out there that geeks like us, we're familiar enough with the history of those manufacturers that we can still recognize them. So yes, for things like that, may I ask if you could be kind enough to provide a photo of the bottom? Take a picture of the entire bottom of the pan of that pot and post it somewhere, whether it's on your Facebook or email photo or something. And all I can say is all of us, will do our best to identify it, because you never know. I mean, for example, let me pull one out here. Oh yeah, here it is. I just started this one a couple of months ago, and I am so happy that I did. This, of course, actually, I don't want to drop the lid. So yeah, and this pan does not have any markings at all, right? Well, it is a BS&R Red Mountain pan, and in fact, it's a handwritten Red Mountain pan too. So I was very happy about that. Now, there are a couple of things about BS&R that make it unique, like the fact that it has a pour spout on the Dutch oven, and for a long time until recently, I thought only BS&R made Dutch ovens with pour spouts, but it turns out apparently there were a few early Lodge pans that had a pour spout on it as well. Or it's things like that we may be able to help you identify. So even though it's an unmarked pan or pot, please provide a picture of it and we will do our best to identify it. I mean, the seller, for instance, didn't even know what this thing was, so that's why I got a good deal on it. But we know this is definitely a Birmingham Stove and Range Red Mountain because of the very random placement of the dimples here on the underside. And I was also fortunate enough to discover that it's a handwritten pan because of close examination of the 8 and the 8A mark here underneath. The way the font is on it, that we realize this is actually a so-called handwritten pan. And I only know that because I'm a cast iron geek. Although the internet has done a lot to reveal the history of a lot of these unknown pans here, especially BS&R. I consider BS&R to be like the unsung hero of cast iron, in that it was forgotten, but then it's been rediscovered by the internet, and now BS&R is becoming more famous because of that. And hello, Chuck Miller. Hard to believe iron pans would be the common ground to save humanity. Well, yeah, I guess we could definitely say that, Chuck. Thank you very much. I'm not asking for donations, but thank you so much. Thank you very much. Anyway, yes, exactly, though. Yeah, I mean, I realize if we argued about politics, we would probably be at each other's throats. I'm not going to argue about politics. I posted a sort of political video about an hour ago, and I'm not going to get into that. No, this is not tonight. Tonight, the subject is simply cast iron, because we're just here to have some fun here tonight. So I think it's fair to say we're all cast iron geeks. I definitely could say that, yes. Okay. I thought you were joking about Darth Vader at first. Oh yeah, no, I'm not joking. So far, they have released Darth Vader every year. Now, these Star Wars pans, last year was the 3rd year, so this year you can guarantee it's going to be out again. This year will be the 4th year in a row they have released those Star Wars pans. Darth Vader they've done from day one. They've been re-releasing it every year, and they'll probably continue re-releasing because Darth Vader. You know, Darth Vader is probably immortal. He'll never die. At least the merchandising won't. So you can be sure you'll be able to get another Darth Vader pan at Wally World this Christmas. I'm not sure if they're going to discontinue any of these pans. If they end up discontinuing any one, probably, I would guess, probably, oh my, it's got a rust spot in it, in fact. I'm going to have to clean this up. Probably going to discontinue BB-8 because, well, as you know, the last three Star Wars movies, their reputation has been kind of going down. And that's a subject for another discussion, but it's largely because of that. I'm suspecting BB-8 is probably not going, we're not going to see him again. And that's also likely why Boba Fett is so popular, because his series turned out to be something of a hit, because that's how it goes. Correct. Been collecting for 24 years, long before YouTube. Old Darth Vader looks like a coal shovel. I'll bet people could use him as a coal shovel, in fact. So why not? Okay. What was that about the most comfortable handle? Hold on, let me back up a little bit here. Of the new modern skillets, what is the skillet with the most comfortable handle except Finex? You know, that's a tricky question. Of the ones that I have here, yeah, the Finex is nice. Of course, it's so heavy. I am kind of partial to my Stargazer here because I think it's got a nice grip on it, and it's got a very, very long handle. So I certainly do like that. On the other hand, the field skillet, which Louis J was kind enough to send, and you didn't have to send that either. This, I've said before, I think field is doing its best to be the modern day Griswold, in that they're making this really in the design of the vintage pans with some differences, like the fact that they don't have a pour spout, but instead they have a rim, a curved lip for pouring. But the handle of a field skillet is short, much shorter, but it is nice and solid. I think I will have to say the design of the handle on the large Blacklock skillet is not the best because of the way it widens out here. I think this was really done more to help for temperature differences, because it definitely helps in that when this pan gets very hot, the handle here is definitely not so hot, but it can be a little bit awkward to grip. Well, but it's not. I'm only saying awkward, and I would not exactly call that like a deal breaker. I mean, there are folks who, of course, will say, the price you're paying for that pan, you should get something perfect, and little flaws like that may not make it worth getting. How did I get this thing fit before? I think that was it. Okay. Oh yeah, here's the BSNR. Oh yeah, BSNR number 5. That's right. I'm gonna put that back. That is really to each their own. I mean, I like just about all of the newer modern pans, at least the ones I've had a chance to experience. But otherwise, other folks may have their own opinions, of course. I mean, heck, Finex was bought out by Lodge, remember? And when Finex was actually bought out, some folks started with the usual big corporations buying out the little guy, except that Lodge, even though they are a nice big company, they're hardly a big mega corporation. So, and furthermore, they're a great company too. All right. Old Darth Vader. Oh yeah, I saw that part here. I'm missing the comments now. Let me get back down here. Okay. Our cast iron chat is welcome to all. Yes, indeed. Hello, Kevin, as well. You can find him at Walmart at Christmas time. Comes with pancake mix. Oh, you're talking about Darth Vader, I guess. Yes, that's true. The first year those Star Wars pans came out, they had the terrible Walmart cookie mix. Yeah. But then starting with the second year and the third year, they switched it for a pancake mix, which is better. It also produces, and also a pancake does a better job of giving the image of the character on it too. So changing it to a pancake mix was definitely the right move for that reason. So I made some Dominican beans in my large Dutch oven a few days ago. Congratulations. Sounds great. Yeah, there's so many things I have to try, including Dominican beans. Did you get the new Dia de los Muertos griddle pan? I did not, and I have to admit I'm not going to. It's nice. I can't own every pan in existence. Just like I did not get the sugar skull skillet last year or this year. On the other hand, I did get the skull muffin pan or cake pan because I wanted that. And as far as the kamals go, well, what can I say? About a month ago, as you know, I managed to discover at my favorite flea market this Wagner griddle here. So I have this griddle here, which will also do great for tortillas. So in that respect, I really don't have any use for the Sholo Dog Kamal. It's nice, and I would definitely say if somebody wants it, go ahead and get it. Just I personally don't have a use for it. So no, I do not have it, and I do not intend to get it for precisely that reason. But it's still a very nice looking pan, and I'm glad to say that. All right. What department does Walmart put Darth Vader? They usually put it in their Christmas section. You know, when Walmart does Christmas, they have their very own Christmas section, stocked with all kinds of Christmas junk. You know, you name it, like their boxes of Christmas candy and useless trinkets and all that. And actually, they have lots of food items as well. That's where you can get, for instance, the 1 pound Snickers bar and the half-pound Reese's peanut butter cups and their so-called barbecue sauce kits and their cheese platters. Their cheese platters are awfully cheap. You know, the cheese is nice, but I've seen better cheese platters. And that in that section there, that's where you'll find the Star Wars skillets, as well as their other ones. They've really been expanding. They've got, of course, the cookie skillets, and they've got that. I've also seen they are now selling just ceramic pie plates, pie dishes, and that are only about the same size. Also, the cost of those things, like everything else these days, is going up. You know, for the last several years, those Walmart cookie skillets were $5. Last year, they were $6. And they re-released the cookie skillet at Easter, and it was $8. So I would not be surprised if you see that same Walmart cookie skillet, the one that was $5. This year, you're going to see maybe an $8 or who knows, maybe even a higher price on it. Just a warning. I don't work for Walmart, but I think I can safely make that prediction. Hi, my daughter turned 50 yesterday and only has one cast iron pan. I'm trying to educate her. Well, best of luck on that, Terry. Curious if you have a reason to display the specific cast iron on the hanging hooks, or do you rotate pans in the hooks? Well, I put them here largely because I thought they would be nice to display. I may still change these around, and in fact, I'm thinking of getting a couple of chains so that I can put a couple of other skillets on here as well. The centerpiece here is good old Bob. I talked about J.R. Bob Dobbs about a month or two ago. And yeah, that's why he is sitting here in the center, especially since this is a unique cast iron skillet. But the others I put here really, maybe I'll rotate them, I'm not sure. This one is the U.S. Great Seal skillet, and that one is the Field skillet. But who knows? I mean, for instance, sitting here on the side, maybe I'll display these more prominently, are the Made in USA pans, like the 2020 Rosie the Riveter pan. Boy, am I glad to have this one. As well as the 2018 Made in America pan. So yeah, these two pans, I think both of those pans are going to be collector's items. I'm really glad I snatched those up. But I've got them sitting over here, and it is very convenient. But I don't know. Maybe I'll put those on the rack. I'm not sure. I expanded this especially so that I'd have something better than a blank wall, especially for having a backdrop for these videos here. All right, the Wagner Griswold Mystique can work to your advantage. In the spring, I found a gate-marked skillet after someone went through a pile looking for only valuable pieces. Griswolds and Wagners. Yeah, I have run into that quite a few times. I will say that. There was a flea market time about 3 years ago. I keep saying 3 years ago, but well, largely because there was a big gap because of the pandemic and then my moving here to New York. Anyway, at one flea market, I saw this guy. He had a pile of little number 3 size skillets. You know, number 3, the 6-inch skillets. And he said, those are $1 a piece because there are no Wagners in them. And I ended up getting 3 of them for $1 each. 2 of them were BS&R skillets. One was a Griswold, an unmarked Griswold. They're Good Health series. That guy didn't know it. I did. That's why having a little bit of knowledge in this hobby goes a long way. Anybody here who has made a great score because you had knowledge and the vendors didn't. So that certainly helps. Do you have a risotto video? At this point, I have not really done a risotto, with one exception. Look up my rice pudding video. When I made just that, I made rice pudding in a cast iron saucepan, and it turned out great too. Man, I just realized how long it's been since I've made rice pudding. I think I should do that soon. So, but yeah, risotto, yet another thing. Yeah, all of this is like, I've got this list. It just seems to be getting longer and longer of things that I need to do and videos I need to make. Yes, I definitely do need to do a risotto video. I'm almost certainly about that. I mean, heck, I had committed myself to doing cannoli, and I still haven't had a chance to do it. I don't know. Maybe next week. I was doing cannoli. Maybe I should do a risotto next week on Cast Iron Wednesday. I bought 5 of the cookie skillets at Walmart a few years ago. Trash the cookie mix. Good choice. They're now selling for $8 to $10, depending which Walmart you go to. Yes, exactly. That's the whole point. Exactly, because you got in when they were less expensive, so you got yourself a good deal. Now, of course, even those cookie skillets are selling at flea markets and antique malls, largely because, again, they don't know what they are. But even now, if you're lucky, you can still find those cookie skillets at something of a good deal. Yeah, because they are so common now that it's pretty easy to come across one of these at the Walmart cookie skillets at a typical antique mall. And they usually call it a vintage cast iron pan, which is, of course, hardly the case. I cook for lions and tigers and bears. Oh my. And sure enough, now it's football season. Buy the pan and not the name, and you'll seldom go wrong. Yeah, that's pretty much how it works, Mudbrooker. It really depends, again, on what you feel you have a need for. I mean, yeah, I've splurged more than a few times in my collection, yes. I mean, for instance, I absolutely did not need a skillet for the 20th anniversary of the National Cornbread Festival, but of course I couldn't say no on it. So even though I've got like about 6 or 8 number 5s. But yes, that's the thing about that. It's like, well, that's how this hobby goes. However, I guess the one thing I can definitely say is, when you're in a conundrum, you see this really great pan selling at a antique store or something for a really, really high price. And yet it's something that you feel like you really are tempted to get. Like maybe someone is selling a large logo Griswold for a slant logo Griswold for $50. And you're standing there thinking, do I really need this? I mean, it's a slant logo Griswold. What I find in situations like this is I say this to myself. If I walk away from this, will I regret this 3 months from now? Am I still going to be thinking about this 3 months from now? If the answer is yes, then maybe you should consider making the investment and getting it. I can think of a couple of instances. There are times that I'm still kicking myself a year or more later for not getting it. So there are those times, yes. And again, that's why I spent $200 on my vintage 15-gallon cauldron, because it was a great deal. I'm really proud that I paid $200 for this 15-gallon 1800s savory cauldron, because you see them selling now in the again at the antique stores. That thing's going to sell anywhere from $500 to $1,000 or more, but it was still $200. I mean, how many of us really can spend $200 on a single piece of cast iron? And how many times have I used this thing so far? I'm looking for more excuses to use it, but I mean, really, how many times have I used this thing? But I stood there when I was offered $200 for that, or offered to buy it for $200, and no, he would not drop the price. I stood there for about good 15 minutes or more, saying, really, kind of like walking back and forth, am I going to regret this? I mean, it's $200, yeah, but this is like a once in a lifetime deal. And I finally said yes, and I got it, and I have not regretted it. So, and I can't answer it for you. This is really a personal thing for you. You've got your reasons, I've got mine. So if you come across this kind of an opportunity, go ahead and do it if you feel you're not going to regret it. If you walk away and think to yourself, am I going to regret not getting this 3 months from now? That's probably the best advice I could give as far as that kind of a situation goes. All right, that was $200 well spent. Well, yeah, I certainly think so too. Move to a cabin in the woods and you'll have it for everyday life. They make great cookie skillets. I use them quite a bit. You must be talking about, I guess, the Walmart skillets. Absolutely, yeah. If you want it that bad and not getting it, yeah, exactly. So, as I said, it's different for everyone. So, and yeah, hot weather sure helped. The weather has changed in that we're no longer in 90-degree humid weather, although it's only August, and that could certainly come back in a week or two. However, everything seems to suggest that for me, remember that Speedy Festival here in Binghamton, New York, is this weekend, and from what I could tell, maybe I should even double check the forecast right now, but everything seems to suggest that Sunday, the day I'll be taking part in that cook-off, the weather looks pretty good. Let's see what it says now for the daily forecast. And yes, again, look it up on Binghamton's Speedy Fest. SPI, the Speedy, the chicken sandwich. Come on. It is this coming Sunday, in fact. And yeah, I've got to prepare for it. I might even finally get the chicken for it maybe tomorrow. What my plan is to get the chicken breasts probably tomorrow, I think. On Friday, I will cut them up and put together the marinade and marinate them until Sunday when I go out and cook. And according to this right now, oh, nice so far. The forecast for this weekend so far here in Binghamton is, they're talking about rain on Friday. Saturday, 25% chance of rain. Sunday, 10% chance of rain. Furthermore, it's going to get about as high as 83 on Sunday. Sounds like a perfect weather for a festival. So yeah, I'm psyched about that. I've posted on my Facebook about this cooking competition that I'm taking part in. They call it the backyard cook-off, where basically home cooks are going to have their chance to cook speedies. and I signed up to be part of it. And the rules of it are very strict in that about the only thing I can bring is the meat itself, the marinated meat. That plus, of course, my own utensils to cook with and plates to serve it. But they are giving each of us, letting us use a grill, charcoal, lighter fluid. I asked if I could use a coal chimney, and they said no. You gotta use the lighter fluid because everybody is the same. They're even giving us bread to serve the speedies. We can't even bring our own rolls. So all I really got to do is show up there with the meat and cook it, and hope that my recipe is decent. Did you get any more state skillets? What did you get? I only have the New York skillet, and I largely got this simply because the company is going out of business here, and I figured this was about the last opportunity to get a skillet shaped like the state of New York. So I just couldn't say no to that. So they're still selling their inventory, and they'll probably keep selling it until it's actually sold out. But there are not going to be any more of these produced by the American Skillet Company. My condolences to them for that. But, well, obviously, they weren't going to be doing that for the rest of their lives. My daughters-in-law live in North Dakota. It's in the 70s every day there. Have you been practicing lately? Yes, I've been making speedies, in fact. When my friends came to visit last weekend, I made more speedies for them. And they gave some compliments, and I think the speedies turned out good, too. One thing I'm doing, and I hope I don't get in trouble with this at the Speedy Fest, bring a cooking thermometer, because I'm cooking chicken breast, so you can't get it over 165. I'll keep a track of that so that these things will still be good and juicy. They, in fact, went to a music fest over the weekend. I didn't because I was busy. And they said they were serving speedies there. And granted, they're my friends and they're biased, but they said my speedies were better. So I'm taking that as a good sign that I might actually have a chance at this Speedy Fest. Now, I said from the beginning, especially since this is my very first cooking competition, I am not expecting to win. I'm just going to go there and have fun. And congratulations to the winners. It would be nice if I actually got something, but I'm not counting on it. I'm just there to have some fun cooking. What state did you purchase the majority of cast iron collection, or did you purchase the majority online? The majority would have to be in Massachusetts, because I was lucky enough to live only a stone's throw from Brimfield until I moved out here to New York. But even then, flea markets I've found have been a really good source of cast iron, although, of course, you've got to have patience. That's probably the best thing I could say about that. I looked through the antique malls in New Bedford, Massachusetts, had some luck there. There's the Grafton Flea Market in Massachusetts. I had luck there once in a while. Likewise, there's that other flea market on the South Shore, Raynham. That's it, Raynham. However, on my road trips, I've done pretty good. And in fact, I've bought a fair amount of cast iron out here in New York for the last several years, even before I moved out here. So it can be found. It does take a lot of looking. My trips down south, I've had a lot of luck as well. There's this huge flea market in Tennessee, the Sweetwater Flea Market. That's it. That place was pretty good, and I've found some good scores there. In southern Pennsylvania, getting close to Maryland, the Mason-Dixon line, there's this really great antique mall called the Black Rose. I hope they're still in business, but they had a really, really great selection, and a fair amount of it seemed to be affordable too. So you never know. I have bought some of my cast iron on eBay. Not much, because I've said many times eBay is generally overpriced. If you have patience and a lot of luck, once in a while you can get yourself a good score on eBay. It was on eBay that I found this BS&R Dutch oven. It was on eBay that I found my pig head, my head cheese mold. It was on eBay that I scored my first bunt pan for 30 bucks. So, but I mean, as I said, I've been doing this now for going on 13 years. So those kind of scores are few and far between. They do happen, but it requires a lot of patience. All right. And yeah, I passed an LBL large block level Griswold for $14, and I've regretted it to this day. Yes, exactly. That's what I mean, Alma. I've seen cast iron at 2 estate sales I want to go, but I can't. But then I bet I do. Yeah, and I know that feeling too, all too well. So, which is why, again, as I mentioned, Speedy Fest is this weekend, and that's what I got to be preparing for. But after Speedy Fest, all of next week, in fact, is, again, one of the biggest antique sales in New York, fairs in New York, the Madison Bouckville Antique Week, which takes place just outside of Syracuse. That's it. Or is it Rochester? No, I think it's Syracuse. And I've been there once, but now that I'm living only about maybe an hour and a half from there, it's certainly, I'm feeling very tempted that just a week from Saturday, next Saturday, I may very well just head out there and see what I can find. So, you never know. All right. Come on over, Cynthia. Everybody's welcome. Yes, exactly. Hello, as well as Corey and LT. Okay. All right. Let me put this out of the way so that I don't trip over it, as I've been almost doing for the last however long. Okay, please don't forget to hit the like button. Well, yes, thank you very much. Just was looking at the New York list of antique shows for August. Yes, exactly. As I mentioned, that's the Madison Bouckville Antique Week. I found out, and I didn't have a chance to go, I was too busy last week. There was a 90-mile highway yard sale here in New York last week. I could have gone, except I had already committed to doing that flea market. And so I spent last Saturday preparing for it and last Sunday at the flea market. Well, there are other opportunities, like next year, for instance. So, have you used a cast iron rice cooker? You must be talking about a Japanese nabe pot. They're nice, you know. Those nabe pots that they make in Japan, they have an enameled inside and a bare cast iron outside. I was making rice regularly in my cast iron, and I think it did great until I got my Magnolite aluminum Dutch oven, which is even better. That is, as I've mentioned enough times, this thing here, the Magnolite. This is upside down. The Magnolite Dutch oven from Wagner here. This thing is aluminum. Actually, technically, it's an aluminum magnesium alloy. That's why they call it Magnolite. But this thing here is the best water boiler I've ever owned. This is fantastic for making rice and also for making pasta. It was because of this that I managed to score a nice big aluminum stock pot about a month ago, so that I can make really big pots of pasta. Because yeah, aluminum is great for that, and so I make my rice all the time in that aluminum pot. So I used to make it in my cast iron, but now I'm making it in aluminum for whatever that's worth. Do you still have Halloween candy in your pot? No, I did get rid of the candy. But there's always this year coming up. Okay, no hunting the rest of the summer unless it happens to rain and cool up. What is your oldest piece? My oldest piece is definitely this one that I mentioned, the big 15-gallon cauldron. This one was made by the Savory Company of Philadelphia, and fortunately it actually has the manufacturer name on it, so I was able to do that. I had assumed this might be around the early 1800s. Somebody pointed out to me that it's more likely about the mid-1800s, but it's still a nice old piece. I have a couple of other gate mark pans from the late 1800s as well. A fair number of pans from the early 20th century as well, when the cast iron boom was taking place. But definitely my oldest piece would be just that, the big cauldron here. Mud suggested I use my winning kettle for Halloween decor. We do our bean outside. Oh yeah, chili. Oh yes, now that sounds good. Aluminum is a great conductor of heat. Exactly. What is your all-time favorite skillet to use? It depends on what I'm making, because I posted a short video about a week ago mentioning how if you've got one pan for cornbread, one pan for making steaks, one pan for making your turkeys, one pan for, you get the idea. You might have cast ironitis, and that's how it is. If I'm making a steak, in general, I will probably reach for my Finex. The Finex here is about the heaviest pan I have. Really, really thick, which means it holds in a lot of heat, which means it's great for making a steak. On the other hand, like I said, if I'm going to make cornbread, I would probably reach, clang, clang, clang. I would probably reach for old lucky number 7 here, which is this very light and thin gate marked number 7 size skillet here. It's like a generic gate mark number 7 here. This is my cornbread pan. Other pans, regularly, I think for casual cooking, I would probably reach for my 2 BS&R pans. My number 8, actually, let me put this back. Let me put this down. And I would probably reach for these 2. One I've given a name, one I still have not given a name. I don't know. I just give them names just when I feel like it. And these would be my BS&R Red Mountain pans. The BS&R number 8 here, for instance, which is really about as good a skillet as you can have because it's nice and smooth. I've made a lot of gravy and a whole lot of dishes in this BS&R number 8 here. Trying to get a good view of that. On the other hand, this one has become a real star in my kitchen, and that would be Lightning, which is the BS&R number 7. And I call him Lightning not just because he's got these casting marks on it, casting flaws that look like lightning. They're not cracks, they're just casting flaws, but also because this pan seems to cook food lightning fast. Maybe it's an illusion, but either way, it's because of that I've given this pan the name Lightning. And I would probably reach for these 2 maybe first if I was going to cook just about anything. So I hope there's your answer there. The Pageant of Steam is August 9th in New York State. Those shows have a good flea market. Really? God, there's so many things I need to look for. All right, August 9th to 12th. Well, okay. 9, 10, 11, 12. I can't do it on weekdays. I mean, I work full-time. And anyway, this coming Sunday, like I said, I'm cooking at Speedy Fest. So that's just how it goes. My sister's traveling in a week through Georgia and going to stop and ship as well. Okay. You have Debbie has several Magnolites. Up in Roseville, California is a good flea market. Okay. I'll bet there'd be a lot of BS&Rs in the Birmingham area. I got a comment from somebody who lives in Birmingham. They said they can barely find them, largely because people keep them there. They don't sell them very often, and I don't really blame them for that. Terry Sinchak, for me, it's my BS&R for steaks, my 3-notch lodge for pancakes and cornbread, and my new lodge for potatoes. And the rest I just rotate, yes. And I'm doing my best to try to rotate through my collection as well. I mean, I tried a new potato recipe last night that turned out to be disappointing, and I'm going to have to try it again with some modifications. Salt and vinegar potatoes. It just sounds so good because I love salt and vinegar chips. So I definitely want to give a salt and vinegar potato recipe a try. I like how once I've been there once. How's the flea market in Roseville these days? Yeah, I do hope it is good. Are you going to stream your cooking contest you entered? I hope I'm allowed to. That would be nice. Also, I better get a backup battery for my phone because I don't know what the reception would be like there. But yeah, maybe I should just simply record it and then play it back when I get home because I'm not sure what the quality of the Wi-Fi is going to be like there. So who knows? In the middle of the month. Okay, yes, that's what she said. How many racks do you have? As a matter of fact, as it turns out, I have 4. I have regularly been showing this one. I have not had a chance really to show you the one over in my kitchen. That's where I have my baking stuff. In fact, let me turn on the light here. Let's see if I can get this camera over. Got to move a couple of chairs, unfortunately, but okay. These are my racks, as you know. It used to be one single huge rack, but I spread it out, especially to be sure that the weight wasn't all concentrated in one place. But yeah, we've got one rack here, the smaller rack that I end up putting a couple of things. Largely, I put this rack here just so that I'd have something to put over the cauldron. And then we have another rack here. And then over in my kitchen, trying to do this right. Okay. Let me move over this way. We have another rack here in the kitchen. Yeah, great. All I'm doing is showing you the door. More like here. Okay, that might do. Yeah, here is the other rack in the kitchen where I keep most of my baking stuff. I've got my enameled pots here, my cornbread pans, pie plates. Under at the bottom shelf there, that is the huge stove enameled Dutch oven, an enameled casserole dish, and here are my the other baking pans, like the John Wright pans, and here, as I mentioned from last year, is the large skull pan, which I'm quite glad to have. And finally on top is the waffle iron. So a lot of these are baking stuff, and I have another, and as you can see, that's all here on another rack in the kitchen. All right, let's get back to where we were. So yeah, I definitely have my collection spread out. Okay, there we go. Trying to get a better shot again. Excuse me 1 second. Sorry about that. It's like the cord was getting all tangled. Okay. All right, there we go again. Sorry about all that, folks. Anyway, post the disappointing recipe. There's some good cooks here that could offer some tips for improvement. I'll have to get the link to it. Basically, yeah, this was a potato recipe that said to boil the potatoes in twice as much water as vinegar. Then, when they're soft, you crush them, and then you bake them in the oven at 450 degrees. I think the mistake was I should cut the potatoes before boiling them, because the vinegars did not really penetrate into the potatoes, and that's what I wanted. I wanted a strong vinegar taste. So I'm definitely going to have to cut the potatoes first before boiling. All right, I've never seen a BSNR in the wild here until a few days ago. Got a number 8 Red Mountain. Congratulations. Lots of grinder marks outside. Ouch. Well, at least it was $10. John Wright uses initials or the name or another one. Most John Wright pans are not marked. Some of them are. Most John Wright pans have a very distinct handle design that makes them easy to recognize. They have put their name on a few of their pans. All right, and do those bags of salt potatoes come with salt on them? No, but they do come with salt in them. In fact, I've got one more because I've got to do another video. Let me get that out. Where did I just put it? Here it is. I just bought this at the supermarket yesterday. And these apparently, this is the original name of the company that did the salt potato thing. Himmel, how do you pronounce this? Heiner Waddles, there it is. Heiner Waddles' famous salt potatoes. It's just a typical bag of potatoes, and I haven't even opened it yet. But on the inside, there is a little plastic bag of salt. I wonder, it's just table salt. It's just like a little baggie, and it's full of salt. There's probably about a cup of salt in here. So, but yeah. I mean, what I was saying about potato recipes that disappointed me, that salt potato recipe did not disappoint me. And I was blown away by how easy those salt potatoes were and how delicious they were. Oh, man. Yeah, give that recipe a try. Syracuse salt potatoes. Give it a try. You won't regret it. Just remember to pour melted butter or dip your potatoes in melted butter because the combination is incredible. Okay. Wow. 9:15 already. Huh. I also got a gate marked truck head pan. One handle was broke, but it'll smooth out. Well, congratulations on that. And yeah, that was it. No, yeah. Don't steal the cauldron, folks. Actually, I'll bet you can't steal the cauldron. This thing weighs 75 pounds by itself. And that's empty. So yeah, it would be at least a two-man job to steal this cauldron. Definitely. All that running around. Yeah, I know. Well, I'm glad I'm getting a workout because I can definitely use the exercise too. I'm very happy that my weight loss regimen has been turning out so well. I'm close to my goal weight, thank goodness. Once I actually hit my goal weight, I'm going to celebrate by going to an all-you-can-eat buffet. Yes, I am. I'm going to do it once, and then after that, just that's the thing. What this regimen has really taught me, and I hope I stay this way for at least a few years, taught me to eat more manageably. No binging. That's really what killed me with my weight more than anything else. Binge eating. So, okay. It was crusted up. Okay, Huey Bryant. Wow, congratulations. 135 pounds. Congratulations. You definitely have something to crow about there. Yes, you should certainly celebrate as well. Are you crying over that raggedy pan of yours, Rick D? You have to eat a lot more bacon. Well, the best I could say is I'm eating in moderation. That's the other thing. I'm really glad I'm on this kind of an eating regimen. Notice I'm not even calling it a diet. It's an eating regimen because it simply tells me just that. Just got to manage how much I eat. Nothing is off limits on this eating regimen. I can still eat whatever I want. The trick is moderation. That's why the 3 steps of this eating regimen that I've been doing. Step 1, get on the scale every single day and log it, and do it at the same time every day. That gives you really a goal to shoot for. Step 2, of course, you got to count calories. Got to keep. Well, that's why I've got this app that does that. But yeah, I've got basically log everything I eat and manage the calories. I aim for about 1,200 or less calories per day. That's to lose weight. If to maintain your weight, I would probably suggest maybe 1,500 to 1,800 calories per day. Anyway, and step 3, the other thing that they mentioned, which I think is a good advice, was that put a big emphasis on foods with what they call a low calorie density, quote unquote. What that means is 2 things. 1, low calorie, of course. 2, high water content. Because water helps to fill you up. You feel a lot more full. And so again, it's easier for you to stay within the right calorie range because of that. And yes, of course, that means putting a big emphasis naturally on vegetables because they are just that. It's like if I'm feeling really famished, for instance, I can get myself a couple of cucumbers, and I love cucumbers anyway, so I don't have a problem with that. Cucumbers are practically no calorie. Or if I'm really crazy, I get myself a whole pound bag of baby carrots, for instance. Put it in a bowl and just simply put in some salt, pepper, and some vinegar. And that's it. And the whole 1 pound bag of baby carrots like that is only about 150 calories. Things like that. That's how people do it on these regimens. I just got a text from somebody. And oh, my Walmart package is on the way. How nice of them. I ordered cat food from them. Anyway, those are the 3 tips I've had on this eating regimen. And of course, the real point is sticking to it. And here's the result. Okay. All right. Now, I was wrong. I hit the wrong button the last 2 times. Well, thank you very much again, Papa Dan. Corey, you're a great cook. It must be hard. And Val's Black Cats. Yeah, exactly. It really is hard to avoid the sweet snacks. There are so many pieces of advice that can be given, of course. Number 1 is don't have them in your home. Living by myself certainly helps in that I can stock my fridge pretty much with whatever I want. So there's a lot less temptation there. Yet on the other hand, for instance, in my fridge right now, I've got 2 bags of chocolate chips for baking. And it does take discipline just to only bake and not do some nibbling. Okay. Meanwhile, back here, I would lose a lot on the carnivore diet. Yeah, the carnivore diet. Here, I will also say I tried the carnivore diet and my weight went up. So it didn't work for me. But I mean, for other people, it probably does. But I had trouble with that. Okay, for dinner tonight, we had cucumbers with onions and sour cream. Well, that sounds good. Okay, back to this. Cast iron cookware has lost a lot of weight. I think he lost too much weight. Well, that's his choice. And you can always discuss that with him as well. All right. We are getting about to that time, folks. So, I mean, I've been walking around really pretty much answering your questions, and I could probably do this for however much long. But, I do say this every week because it is every week. Tonight's a work night, I've got to get up tomorrow. And in fact, I've got to mow my lawn tomorrow night. So I should plug in the battery for that. But beyond that, we are getting into that time. So what are you doing with the food you cooked during the live? Well, the last couple of ones I've put into portions, and it's taken me almost a week to get through them. In fact, that shooter's sandwich I made during the live, and boy, was that good. There's another recommendation for you folks. Shooter's sandwich. That was an incredible steak sandwich. Only just 2 days ago, I ate the last of the pieces from that shooter's sandwich. You see, I cut it up into like 8 or 10 pieces and wrapped each one of them up and put them in the freezer so that when I wanted one, I could take it out and thaw it out. And only just last week, or 2 days ago rather, I had the last of those pieces from the shooter sandwich. So that's what I've been doing most of the time. Okay, my wife got diabetes from one of the meds. Okay, had a time watching her sweet tooth. All right. Okay, enough of that. All right, but yeah, like I said, we are getting in there. I've been doing these. It was really at the suggestion of you folks here that I dedicated the first Wednesday of the month to doing this kind of a question and answer session, and I think it's done pretty well. I like doing this so that way, because it seems to be a toss-up on my channel here. There are folks who want more recipes, and there are folks who want more cast iron. And in fact, the videos where I do specifically about cast iron do seem to get more views. But I like the cooking. I'm here for the cooking. So that's why it's kind of like a toss-up. And yeah, that's why, again, I like doing the first Wednesday of every month of being a Q&A session here, and I'm certainly going to keep that going. But on the other hand, again, next week on Cast Iron Wednesday, yes, we will be back to cooking. As I mentioned, I had wanted to do cannolis, and maybe I still should. But somebody had suggested earlier tonight that I do risotto, and it's certainly worth considering. Maybe we'll see how that turns out. But anyway, that's next week. And then, well, we are getting on with it. For me, again, I've got to prepare to do some cooking at the Speedy Fest this Sunday, and I'm certainly looking forward to it. The weekend after that, as I mentioned, is the Boutville Antique Week, and I'm hoping to do something about that. After that, I've got a music festival with friends of, excuse me, dear friends of mine. They're having their own big 2-day music festival. They're a local band, and they call themselves, and I kid you not, Rubik's Pube, P-U-B-E. And that's all I'm going to say there. So they're definitely something of an adult-oriented independent band, but they're good. And so they've got a 2-day music festival later this month. And I've just committed myself to going there with my cauldron and cooking up a big pot of pastelaia for them. So that's going to be fun as well. So things are keeping busy. And just as well, as I said, Cast Iron Wednesday here. Again, I really enjoy doing these videos, whether it's these Q&A sessions or cooking. Either way, these things have been a lot of fun. And this I say every week because I mean it every week. It's you folks here, who make this so much fun. I really appreciate you folks who all show up here on a regular basis to comment and make fun of my cooking, and for good reason. I mean, I'm hardly a professional cook, and there are a lot of things of mine that can definitely be criticized. And I very much appreciate that because, again, it makes for good conversation. It makes for a lot of fun. I get to know you folks. I consider you folks to be friends. And that's why I'm really glad to see you folks here every week anyway. And so, yes, I very much thank everybody here who's been kind enough to show up here on Cast Iron Wednesday, and I hope we keep on doing it for some time. Folks here, I mean, even like Sharon Graham, who, even though that's a name I don't recognize yet, or Cast Iron Fanatic, who we see every week, and William Hurt, Celine 77, Val's Black Cats Rules, and Pawpaw Dan. Thank you very much for everybody. Thank you for showing up. And I can only hope I've been doing good enough to keep you folks entertained as well. Is she okay? I'm not sure if she's being chased by another cat. But yes, thank you so much to everybody who's been kind enough to show up. I think Mobley at this point wants to go to bed, so I'm going to be shutting down, and then we will be heading out for another night. And I can only thank everybody, though, as I said, because this is so much fun here. And you folks on YouTube are a big reason why it's so much fun and why I hope to keep on doing it. Which is why we can only do this all again next Wednesday and see how it turns out. And yeah, I'm definitely look forward to having fun this weekend more than anything else. Likewise, I can only look forward to having fun here with you folks next Wednesday. Which is why, once again, we can only end this the way I've been saying it every time. Thank you very much, everybody, and we'll see you next Wednesday. Have a good evening, everyone.